I'm Eleanor Mills. I'm the founder of noon.org.uk, which is the home of the Queenager. And we're here in these amazing Amazon studios today to talk about apprenticeships. Now, when people think about apprenticeships, they probably think about younger people, but actually, an apprenticeship is an amazing way to make a career change in midlife. And I know from a lot of the research and the work that I do with my community of women aged 45 plus, that all of us hit some kind of bump in the road around 45, 50 and need to change horses. And we're here today to talk about how doing an apprenticeship, and particularly an Amazon apprenticeship, can be a brilliant way to change careers and to learn a new skill at this time in your life. So it's really exciting to be in such a fantastic studio. There's been everyone from the bad boy driller crew to Cat Burns here. And today we're really behind the scenes and we're going to have a really good kind of talk and exploration of what it means to be a midlife apprentice and why it can be such a good thing for women at this point to give it a go. So we've got a fantastic panel of ladies here today who all know quite a lot about midlife apprentices. I call women in midlife queenagers because I think that it's all about opportunity and that we all have an incredible possibility at this point to have a new chapter and move into a new phase of our lives. And so it's really exciting to have this conversation about what that's meant for these incredible women who are with me today. So, Nicola, why don't you kick us off, because you're head of the Amazon Apprenticeships programme, and tell us why it's so suitable for women in midlife.
I think, you know, the apprenticeship, it's another opportunity. As you just said, it's another way to do something different in your life, to reskill, and kind of like pivot and change that direction that you might want to go into. Or maybe that career you've always wanted, but you never got the opportunity, you know, when you maybe were younger. So I think apprentices are a great way to go either back into the workforce or change what you're doing with wraparound support, because an apprentice is about that. You are learning to be proficient in an occupancy. So therefore, the expectations, you know, are very different. So you have a training provider, you have a mentor, you have a manager, like a program manager who are there to support you. So I think it's, you know, a great opportunity to really change direction.
And of course, the best thing is you also get paid.
You do. So it's a no-brainer, right? You actually get paid. So, you know, if you want to reskill or retrain, normally you might have to go to college again, you know, back full-time, do that around working. But actually with the apprenticeship, you've got both worlds together.
Yeah.
So it's not always easy. You've got to quite resilience, you know, about studying and working again. But it is a, you know, full-time job and you are getting paid. And also, you're not paying for your qualification because that is funded.
Yes,
well.
and so you come out with a job. You come out with a qualification, an amazing new skill, and you get paid to pick that up. I think that what people maybe don't understand about the possibilities of apprentices is the breadth of the things that you can study or that you can do at Amazon. Because everyone thinks of you a bit as like, you know, kind of putting things in boxes, putting them in lorries. So it's broader than that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It is so broad. So we've got apprentices live on 45 different schemes.
Wow.
Yeah, so tech, non-tech, degree, non-degree. So really whatever you are looking for, we probably have that for you. You know, and I think what's really key for us, and like we're saying, Patricia's just a project management apprentice. That's a scheme that's got bigger and bigger. And it's a great scheme because it's really generic. So if you've got a real interest in an area, then actually, you know, project management or like buying merchandise could be really good, because what will happen is that when we kind of assess you, we will look at obviously your interests as well. So for example, you know, we had an applicant and he did a presentation on football.
Yeah.
So he is now working in the football sports for Amazon.
Oh, wow, okay.
Which is amazing, you know, and we've got, you know, somebody else who did a presentation on Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So now she's working in Amazon Music.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
So I just think, you know, it's not, you know, your interest will be supported with what you do as well and what team you're in. So for Amazon, like I say, we have people who work in software development, apprentices, marketing, project management, engineering. As I said, 45 different schemes from 15 months to 4 years, from no qualifications needed to apply to like A-levels, level 3s to apply. So there really is something for everybody, regardless of your background, regardless, you know, of maybe if you've been out of education for a while, you know, you might feel a bit nervous about going to do a degree. So that's fine. We've got level 2, level 3s and level 4s for you to, you know, dip your toe in, have a go.
I love the idea also that you can come in and do something like project management, but then you can use that as a way of exploring your passion.
Yes.
Because what we so see with our queenagers is that this is the point in their lives where they really want to go back to find that dream that they had when they were younger. All the stuff where life gets in the way. And so it's really important that you not only get a skill and you get paid, but you could also then do something that you really love. I mean, that really sounds to me like a total win. And Emma, when you see people coming out of the military, because of course that's a big shift if you've been in the kind of in the army or in the navy, and then you're coming out into kind of civilian life. What kinds of things are you seeing your people do?
Really diverse, and it's been exceptional. So we've seen a trumpet player become a project manager, award-winning project manager, should I add there. We've had a Navy sailor.
Yeah.
He's now on a marketing executive apprenticeship. We've also had a Marine who was medically discharged, now qualified, done his 3-year apprenticeship and has now got a degree, software development engineering.
Wow.
Now working for IMDb. So, you know, they can pivot completely from a completely different career into something completely different, but also aligning with what they want to do and their passion.
Yeah, I think this alignment with purpose in midlife is really, really crucial. And also understanding, and so just so I'm clear, at the end of your apprenticeship, are you guaranteed a job?
You're not guaranteed a job with the employer you've done the apprenticeship with, but what you have got is that qualification. You've got that work experience. I think it's very difficult for employers, especially nowadays, to guarantee jobs in, well, even a year. In 15 months, especially into 4 years. But what we find is that, you know, our apprentices who complete, over 86% do stay with Amazon, but we have some who think, you know what, I'm going to go travelling.
Yeah.
I've now got some money in my pocket, I'm going to go travelling, or I'm going to move, or I fancy going to a smaller business. But at the end of it, you have a national qualification, all funded for you. And this is for all employees who do apprenticeships. You've got your work experience, and you're not, well, you shouldn't be in debt through, to meet the qualification. So really, the world is your oyster.
Yeah, and you find that the employability of the apprentices at the end is high.
Absolutely. You're applying for a job which says, I have got, this level of qualification in this occupancy, and I have got this many years experience doing it. And when I'm at an interview, I'm going to talk about all the projects I've been involved in and done, which you can't necessarily do if you've done it through full-time education.
Yeah. And what about people's perception that apprentices are for people straight out of school?
Oh, it's still there, very much still there. So obviously we speak to a lot of people from all kind of like ages and backgrounds, and you can see people apprenticeship. Why would I want to do an apprenticeship? But when you start talking to people, so when we talk to maybe young adults and their parents are there, the parents are like, well, wait a minute, say that again. And we have Sam who works at Amazon. And Sam did an apprenticeship in HR. She's now doing a degree, and her son now does an apprenticeship with Amazon as well. Because she was so like, these are just fantastic opportunities. So her son has now joined our engineering apprenticeship. Because it is for all ages. We have apprentices 18 to over 70.
Yeah.
And I think, and we have seen more and more people, over the age of 30, coming to do apprenticeships, because actually, that myth is going, but it is still there. People think apprentice, it's a trade. It's maybe for people who are not academic. That's what it was like when I left school. But it's not like that whatsoever. It gives people a real opportunity to do all the things we've just said. Get all that work experience, get into a role where you are able to learn, because your job is about learning. There's not an expectation from day one that you're going to, be competent in
so
that.
you're not having to come in at the beginning being expected to know exactly what you're doing. And I think that that's really helpful, because we see quite a lot of women at this point maybe losing a bit of confidence as well. So it's good to kind of go in with some kind of support. Emma, I'm going to bring you in here, because you made a big shift, didn't you? You were in the military as a lawyer, and now you've been doing a big project management course at Amazon. So tell us a bit about your experience and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, so I was, exactly as you talked about, women at that sort of mid-40s stage.
Queenager stage.
I'm a queenager, I'll take it. And you decide to leave the military, and what you do. And actually it was that blank piece of paper. And this was a golden opportunity to go, I can reinvent myself here. I was a lawyer, I'd spent 17 years in the military as a lawyer. And whilst you do different jobs and gain different experiences, I actually thought, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I want to do something completely different. And really saw it as huge opportunity to sort of reinvent myself, but with the confidence and knowledge that I had a huge skill set to offer to any employer out there, due to my experience and being in the military and all that brings with it.
So what made you do a career shift towards Amazon?
I initially left the military and I went into finance in the city and in Canary Wharf. And believe me, that was a big change from being in a uniform every day with black boots on to high heels and business suits and cutting around Canary Wharf, which I loved. It was quite a nice change. And then, weirdly then, you know, life throws you these curveballs.
Particularly at this point in midlife.
Particularly at this point in midlife. And I'd put myself out there and gone, you know, I'm going to take what opportunities come. And weirdly, the powerful world of LinkedIn, obviously, is a hugely powerful tool. And I was headhunted by a law firm to go back into law. And really difficult decision to make. Do I want to go back into law? I've made this big jump. I've made the career change. I'm happy with what I'm doing. But someone's shining this rather attractive opportunity to me. And I took it after much deliberation. But by day 2, I realized I'd made a mistake.
Wow.
And that was when I had to really do the hard yards then to think, right, I've been presented with this, what looks on paper to be an awesome opportunity, but I don't want to suffer, you know, for the next 20 years doing a job that I don't really enjoy. And that's when I sort of had to do that dig deep searching of, well, what do you really want out of life? What do you want to do? And then this opportunity came along with Amazon to deliver program management. I had no experience of program management, but then when I looked back at my skill set and everything that I'd done, I went, I've got the transferable skills. I can do this. I just need to have that confidence to come in and deliver that. And whilst I therefore had to take a salary cut, coming from a law firm, coming into Amazon, I did take a salary cut. But what was important was the job and what that job was giving me in terms of a lifestyle, giving me in terms of what I wanted out of life, and particularly that role is giving back to the military community. So I understood my customer and what I was doing for them and making a difference for them, you know, helping them to come into careers. A lot have come in through military into apprenticeships, and we have a vast array of military that have come into apprenticeships and used that platform and that opportunity there. And like I say, that you get to that age in life where it's not just about getting up that ladder and earning more and getting that prestige. It's about actually being happy in your work, knowing that work is giving you personal value, but also you're giving back to your customers and what you're doing. And so for me, that was the game changer.
Oh, that's so interesting, because what we so see in the research that we've done on our Queenagers is that purpose and the right kind of lifetime work-life balance are incredibly important to women at this age. In fact, and that flexibility is about 16 times more important to them than just kind of classical status. And that sense of moving into something meaningful and purposeful and using, as you've done, your military background to now help other people from the military into new jobs and apprentices is just such an important thing at this point. So thanks so much for sharing your story. Miri, I'm going to come to you now. So tell us a bit about why you went to Amazon and what you did before. Give us a little kind of...
Yeah, so I am a military spouse, so my career has always taken a back burner. So my husband's career have always been supporting it. Once he left the military, I decided to be selfish and do something for myself.
Hooray.
And when Amazon, when the opportunity came up to be part of the Amazon apprenticeship, I just threw my whole self into it because this is a company that I really wanted to work for. By the way, my husband also works at Amazon, and looking at how he's really happy in his role, I thought this is the employer I wanted to be with. You know, I have like 20 more years to go, and this is something that I could do. So it had to be Amazon for me.
Oh, thank you. I think that's so interesting. You said that there's 20 years to go, because the other thing is that we're all living so much longer. So at Noon, my platform, we called it Noon because Noon means halfway through the day. And in the 100-year life, 50 is only halfway through. And we're all going to have to work till we're at least kind of 67, 70 in order to get our pensions. And so I think it's really important that women start thinking about what they can do that they really love and which is going to really help them to earn a good living and have a satisfying life at this point at kind of 45, 50, and that it's really not too late to reinvent. In fact, we all need to be thinking about reinventing kind of at this point. So how did the actual apprenticeship scheme kind of help you? Because if you'd been a military spouse, had you been working much while you were around? Why was this a particularly good shift?
Yes, so I had been working and also studying as well, so I have a master's. And I felt that I've always been making changes. So the apprenticeship wasn't such a big thing for me to do because it was I was accustomed to making change anyway.
Yes.
However, at this point, I decided to go with Amazon because I felt that the company was at the edge of innovation and I wanted to be part of that as well. And I felt that within Amazon, there was chances for me to move if I wanted to something else. So it had to be Amazon for me at this point.
And brilliant. And tell us a bit about the actual practicalities of how it works. So how does your week break down? So if you're an apprentice, you turn up on Monday morning, and kind of how much of the day is studying and how much is working in a job?
Well, for me right now, it's a lot of balancing, like both studying and working at the same time, because everything just feels so new, everything that I'm learning. But I get on the job training as well, and I also get to do a lot of dealing with the vendors as well.
Let's come to you, Patricia. So you were a teacher.
Well, I was actually a teaching assistant in a school, and I'd kind of fallen into the education sector in my late 20s. I'd gone to university, traditional route. I'd got a degree in statistics. I'd started a career as a data analyst, and then I got married and I had my kids fairly young. So I was quite young, and I spent a few years at home because I wanted to be at home with my kids. And then I fell into education as a way of being able to work around looking after my children. So the hours suited, you know, the kids could be in school, I could be, you know, working in a play group and so on. And then I gradually, because I don't like to stand still, I gradually educated myself more in that sector, got more and more experience, got to the point where I'd built this career in education over sort of 15, 20 years. And then my own kids were leaving home and they were at university themselves, and there was no need for me to be in that school environment anymore. I mean, I loved working with children, but it was at a point where I was getting to my sort of late 40s. It was early 2020, just before lockdown happened. And I was like, I need a change. I need something different. I love working with little children, but I cannot see myself crawling around the floor with 4-year-olds as I go through my 50s into my 60s. Much as I love it, I cannot do it. And I felt I wanted that career that I'd kind of given up back in my early 20s. I'd never had that kind of corporate career that I thought I was going to have. It hadn't materialised. And like you said before, I've got 15, 20 years working life in me. You know, it was a good time to start thinking about change.
It's so interesting you say that, because we see so many women hitting this, what we call a midlife pivot, in their kind of, 45, 50, often when the kids leave home. My kids have just gone off to university, so I know what that's like. That's that massive kind of empty nest moment. When also what we see is it's a real opportunity at that point for queenagers to go back and find their earlier dreams. And we see so many women who think, well, I've been doing all this stuff for everybody else for all this time. Now it's my time. This is when I finally get to do something for me. So did it feel a bit like that for you going into Amazon to do what you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, I hadn't initially thought, I was going to come to Amazon or that I was going to do an apprenticeship. I was like, well, I've got loads of skills. I'm great, you know. who wouldn't want, you know, to employ me? But then
I like the confidence. We need more of that in women in midlife.
But you realise that although you've got all these soft skills, when you're having a big pivot, you're going into something either you know nothing about, or you knew a lot about 20 years ago, and the world has moved on, and you're no longer qualified to do it. So although you've got the skills and you can do it, and you've got the belief, you've not got the paper qualifications to back that
Right.
So I tried applying for a few things that I thought would interest me. And either I felt I was coming up against this kind of age gap discrimination.
Well, there's a huge amount of gendered ageism which hits women in their 50s.
Where I was going for, you know, more junior jobs, but as an older person. And, you know, and I could see the young person interviewing me kind of thinking, well, what's she doing here, kind of thing. And I was like, well, I need something that's going to get me skilled up and the recognition and people that are going to appreciate me.
And you found that Amazon was very open to the idea of taking a Queenager as an apprentice?
Absolutely. During the interview process, I asked lots and lots of questions about age discrimination in the workplace, how they viewed older people in junior positions and that kind of thing, just so I could feel that when I came, I wouldn't feel completely out of place.
Yeah.
I would feel valued and it would be right for me.
Brilliant. And so, Nicholas, this has been very much your policy, that you could see the opportunity in this amazing pool of Queenagers?
Absolutely, because, I mean, for us at Amazon, we wanted to, well, not wanted to, we do, you know, provide opportunities regardless of your background. When we say background, that can be anything, you know what I mean? And as Patricia was saying, over 25% of our apprentices who started with us are of that, you know, pivot age.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Queenager.
Yeah, Queenager. I love that Queenager. Yeah, and they are, and their backgrounds are very different. And I think, like you were saying before, when you get to a certain age, you may have raised a family. Yeah, you might not have had, chosen not to have a family.
But 25% of Queenagers don't have kids.
I don't have kids. I have cat kids. Cat
Me
kids.
too.
Yeah, cat kids.
But I think it's really important to talk about that, because everyone talks about, empty nest or, kids going off. But actually, for a lot of women, they haven't had children. And what we see there is there's even more of a necessity than for purpose or some kind of legacy or feeling like you're really giving back.
Absolutely. Because I do think there is something around that age, and and, I know for me, when I might say hit menopause, probably go a bit deep now, you know what I mean? But there is that suddenly pivot where you just think, I've now got to this age, which seems to have gone really quickly.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Absolutely. And I think, like Emma was saying before, you get there and it's happening really quickly. And actually, but what you have learned is what you do and you don't like.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, but sometimes, not all the time, when you are a bit younger, you end up doing jobs maybe that you don't like that much, but you need it because you've got a mortgage, you've got, you're trying to get onto that ladder, etc. And even more so now, because that cost of living, crisis, there is more of that need and that financial dependency. But I do think as you get on, like say in this generation, there is that opportunity, sometimes to think, actually, I can now change where I want to go, or I actually need to, because now I've got to this point in my life, I'm thinking, this is not what I enjoy anymore.
Yeah.
This is not what I want to do. And as you said, I'm going to have to be working for a bit longer than maybe I wanted to.
None of us are retiring anytime soon.
And again, and if you are, I'm using myself here, if you are like a single woman, with one income, it's like, I'm probably going to have to work a little bit longer than I really wanted to, and south of France is not coming any quicker for me. So I do think the apprenticeship does give you that opportunity, and for you to really look about, actually, this is really what I want to do. So with an Amazon, you can do apprenticeships from all different levels, from 15 months to 4 years.
Yeah. And that's from a kind of diploma up to a degree level,
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely, yeah. So actually, if you want to change your career, it might not take as long as you think.
Yeah.
So I was merely saying, you could have a degree or a master's or have been, very competent in certain occupancy, which you don't want to do anymore, and you won't be able to change. So buying and merchandising is a great apprenticeship because it's 2 years.
Right.
And buying and merchandise is very generic, and it's a really big program for us, and it's like project management as well. That program's become bigger and bigger because you get that opportunity to bring all those skills that you have got from the last, for 20, 30 years you've been doing. You don't have to have been employed to get those skills.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. No, and we all know
exactly.
If you're running a home, you're a project manager.
Absolutely, you might not have
worked dealing with your stakeholders.
Yeah, you might not have paid employment before, but you've worked. Yes, you've been working. So you've really got an opportunity to look at the apprentices, look at it, and think, actually, I really fancy that. And actually, maybe 2 years. 2 years isn't that long.
Yeah, and particularly if you're getting paid to do that, so you're not taking the financial hit of going back to university and having to pay for your tuition and to live. So I think that it's a really fantastic way of pivoting out of something into something else. And I think it's really important that Queenagers and women in midlife realise that there's this apprenticeship route available. Because I see so many women who really want to shift into something new, know that they've got to start a new chapter, but are very unclear on how they join the dots.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a big midlife pivot myself, and what I was really looking for were the like little white pebbles, kind of which guided Hansel and Gretel out of the wood. You know, it's like, how do I get from this thing to this thing? So I really think that what you're doing with a midlife apprenticeship is a fantastic way of helping people pivot from one thing to the other.
But also the world of work has changed. And if you've been in a particular career for 20, 30 years, and what that career has been is now sort of changing very much.
Or gone.
Or gone, exactly, it has gone. Then with apprenticeships, like I said, there's the array of opportunities. I mean, there's an apprenticeship in sustainability.
Okay.
Now, 20 years ago, there was not even any jobs in sustainability, whereas now you can go and train in sustainability. So again, you're at that point in your life and career where what you've been doing is disappearing from the workforce, yet you want to go and do something else. Apprenticeship provides that ideal platform in which to do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's so diverse now in terms of opportunities that there's not a niche market anymore. It's, right, I want to do sustainability, I want to be buying and merchandising, project program management, you know, engineering. We've got a nurse, a previous nurse who's now on an engineering apprenticeship. You know, it's a great platform to pivot into something else.
I think that that's so fantastic, and I think it's such a positive message to put out to our Queenager community. And I'd just like to thank you all so much for helping us today. And if you're out there and you're thinking that you might like a career change, do check out the Amazon apprenticeship schemes, because it might be exactly what you're looking for.